Hello all, welcome to IPMAT 2020 Verbal Ability Section Analysis. There are 30 MCQ based questions in this set, and we will do their detailed analysis in this video. The first question, which is a reading comprehension passage, is on your screen. A link to the paper is given in the description below, so you can download it. Now, before we begin, let me give you the gist of the passage. The writer talks about a 1,000-mile journey undertaken by John Moyer to the Gulf of Mexico about half a century ago. Now, botanist by profession, Moyer was an ardent lover of nature, and he considered himself a citizen of the world. During these expeditions, he had to face many hardships. He went hungry for days and even hurt his right eye, which delayed his journey. But his experience with nature fulfilled him spiritually. Now, let's look at the first question. John Moyer, Planet Earth, Universe. Moyer wrote this in his notebook because, let's look at the answer options. He did not have a permanent address. He wanted to be a traveler all his life. His love for botany went beyond borders. He wanted to live in the open all his life. Now, students, the answer has to come from the passage. So, if you look at the last line of the first paragraph, his eager interest in every aspect of natural world made him a citizen of the universe. If you consider this line, you'll see that option E, his love for botany went beyond borders, is the most appropriate answer. Now let's look at the other answer choices also. See, he did not have a permanent address and he wanted to be a traveler all his life. Is not explicitly or implicitly mentioned anywhere in the paragraph. Similarly, option D, he wanted to live in the open all his life, is not written anywhere in the paragraph. His love for natural world, botany, went beyond borders, made him the citizen of the universe. All right. Looking at the next question. Which of these did John Muir have no great difficulty in doing? Finding food among farmers, eating regularly every day, sleeping without blankets on certain nights, chasing wolves that howled through the night. Now, if you look at this line of the third paragraph, but usually I had no great difficulty in finding a loaf of bread in the widely scattered clearing of the farmers. So this one, option A, looks like a direct answer to a direct question because it's clearly stated in the paragraph. So you can eliminate the other answer choices and choose option A as the right answer. Moving on to the next question. How did the experience with nature affect John Muir? Let's look at the answer choices. He felt spiritually fulfilled. He became a better botanist. He felt successful after collecting rare plants. He enjoyed the breeze in the glorious forest. Now, the passage does not talk about he becoming a better botanist, so we can eliminate option B. He felt successful after collecting rare plants. Well, this is not mentioned anywhere in the passage. He enjoyed breeze in the glorious forest. Again, they have mentioned forests in the paragraph, but they did not talk about he enjoying the breeze in the forest. Let's see. I was able to wander many a long, wild mile, free as the winds in the glorious forest. So we can eliminate the three options, that is B, C, and D. He felt spiritually fulfilled. Now let's look at another line given in the same paragraph. Gathering plants and feeding on God's abounding, inexhaustible spiritual beauty bread. So that makes option A the most appropriate answer choice. Moving on to the next question. According to the passage, in what ways was Moyer affected by his injury? Now, the question is asking you the effect of the injury that he had in his right eye. And the options are his injured eye healed very slowly. He could not open his left eye during his exploration. His eyesight was affected, but he was able to carry on. He took a long time to consult maps and to study them. See, we have to find the effect of the injury, which is he had to consult daily maps, right? He daily consulted maps, but when he was but alas, I'm half blind. My right eye, trained to minute analysis, is lost, and I have a scarce heart to open the other. So he had to consult maps before he extended or continued on his journey. So he could not do that because of his injury. So it took him a lot of time to consult the maps and study them. This is how he was affected by the injury. Moving on to the next one. When Moyer said he botanized, he meant that. Now, botanized generally means studying a plant in its natural habitat. But even if you don't know the answer while in the exam, let's look at the other answer choices and see if we can eliminate them. Studied plants and made notes of them. Now, see, the passage does not state anywhere, it is not stated anywhere in the passage that he made notes on the plants. He studied plants during his exploration and he studied plants and classified them. Again, option D can again be eliminated along with option A because the passage does not state explicitly or implicitly that he made notes of them or he classified them. So we can eliminate these two answer choices. Now you have to choose between B and C. If you closely look at option C, he studied plants during his exploration. It feels as if he went exploring and on the way he studied plants, although it was the other way around. He wanted to study plants, that is the reason why he went exploring. So that makes option C a vague option. And he studied plants in their natural habitat is what meant by the term he botanized them. Now, the next question, which of these is not true? He explored several new places on his way home. There was a cloud over the landscape he traveled. He was committed to being a botanist more than ever. He recorded his adventures in the notebook. Now, if you read the passage, he explored several places on his way home is very clearly given in the last paragraph. He was committed to being a botanist more than ever. This is what the entire paragraph is all about, for his love for botany and his commitment to be a botanist. He recorded his adventures in the notebook is given here in the first paragraph, first line, first paragraph. Now, there was a cloud over the landscape he traveled. This is given in the last line of the last paragraph, but let's understand the meaning of this line. A cloud is over it, but in gazing over the widest landscapes, I'm not always sensible of its present. Now, a cloud above us generally signifies a worry that we have in our mind. It doesn't really mean that there is a cloud above us, it's only figuratively speaking. That is how this is given in this context. So, this statement, there was a cloud over the landscape he's traveled, is not exactly true as stated. So, this makes option D your right answer choice. All right, now let's discuss the last question, which is question number 6. Which of these sentences is not true? So, the question is asking you to find the statement which is not true as per the details given in the passage. John Moyer explored several new places, even on his way home. There was a cloud over the landscape he traveled. He was committed to being a botanist more than ever. He recorded his adventures in the notebook. Now let's understand. John Moyer explored several new places on his way home is given in the last passage, the last paragraph of the passage. I was eager to see Illinois prairies on my way home, so we went to Decatur near the center of the state. So he went to some other places. This is given, it is true. He was committed to being a botanist more than ever. Let's read the very next line of the same paragraph. I botanized 1 week on the prairie, about 7 miles southwest of Pecatonia. To me, all the plants are more precious than before. See, he was committed to being a botanist more than ever. So, this also is a correct statement. He recorded his adventures in the notebook. These are the words in the inside cover of the notebook from which the content of this volume have been taken. So he did record his adventures in the notebook. This is also a statement which is true. Now let's look at the B part. There was a cloud over the landscape he traveled. Now this line is already there in the passage. A cloud is over it, but in gazing over the widest landscape, I'm not always sensible of its presence. Now see, before that he mentioned his eye is not better, no worse. And then he said there's a cloud over it. Now, this line, here in this line, he's figuratively talking about a worry that was on his mind because of his poor eyesight. And he didn't really mean that there was a cloud over the landscape he traveled. So that makes option B the most appropriate answer choice for this question. Moving on to the next question. Complete the following state sentences by choosing the appropriate word or phrase from the options given below. Now, questions like these are based on word usage. That means you need to have strong vocabulary to get your answer right here. It came as a shock to me that my friend had lost the dash he had built carefully over the years when in a moment of madness, he lent all of it to his neighbor. Well, the answer is nest egg. Nest egg simply means saving for the future. Moving on to the next one. During the debate, when the minister appeared to be vague about his stand on the controversial energy project, his opponent asked him to dash and declare outright if the government would go ahead with the project or not. Now, apparently, in the sentence, the minister is vague, that is not clear about his stand on a project. So his opponent asked him to cut to the chase. That means he asked him to come directly to the point and declare outright if the government would go ahead with the project or not. It is irritating when co workers dismiss your ideas as worthless and later present those very ideas as their own. They just want to, well, this is simply steal your thunder. Steal your thunder means somebody is taking the credit of all the hard work that you have done. Moving on to the next part. Before the start of the meeting, I am on the latest developments, taking you through, going to share, going to bring you up to speed, going to be explaining. Well, the answer would be taking you through. So before the start of the meeting, I'm going to take you through on the latest developments. The others, going to share, bring you to speed up to, going to be explaining, would not be grammatically right in the given context. Despite statistics to prove that there was a slowdown in the economy for the country, the professor was dash about it. Now, the word despite shows contrast. Let's look at an example. Despite the rain, I decided to go out. So, if it was raining, I should have stayed home. So, despite the rain, I went outside. So, there's a contrast in the sentence. Now, let's look at the sentence. The statistics proved that there was a slowdown in the economy. So, the professor should have supported it. But since the sentence begins with despite, that means something contradictory, something contrasting happened in the sentence. So, despite the statistics to prove that there was a slowdown in the economy of the country, the professor was in denial about it. The word protest would have worked fine, but with protest we use against. We do not use about with the word protest. So, none other option would be the right fit. It's just B, in denial. That's your right answer. After unearthing of relics at the archaeological site, the historian was asked to throw light on the significance of the discovery, which simply means shedding light on something. Now, let's look at the next question, which states choose the alternative so that the underlying part of the sentence is rendered correct. That means there's a part of the sentence which is wrong and you need to correct that part. Now, the pharmaceutical company hired a consultant to supervise a task force studying lower salaries as to their effect on employees' morale. Now, this is where the sentence is wrong. Let's find out what could be the possible right answer. Let's start from the last line. Studying the effects of employee morale on lower salaries. Now, if you reconsider this one, employee morale would not have any effect on the lower salary. It has to be the other way around, right? So you can eliminate this choice. For studying what are the effects in employees' morale that lower salaries would cause. Now, this sentence also looks grammatically incorrect, so we can eliminate this. Studying the effects of lower salaries on employee morale. Well, this looks grammatically fine, so let's keep this on hold and let's look at the first answer choice. Studying what the effect, well, studying what the effects lower salaries would have on the employee morale. This part, the affects lower salaries. This part is grammatically incorrect, so we are left with only option B, which is the right answer choice as well. Let's move on to the next part. Besides offering physiological rewards such as toned muscles, now the next part is underlined, which means that there is a problem in this part. When regular karate is practiced, the body can be turned into a dangerous weapon. Now, since the sentence begins with besides, which is a conjunction, let's understand how this conjunction works. For example, besides food, she gave him money. Now, so to have a correct sentence, to have a grammatically correct sentence, we use besides. Now, let's say food, she gave him money. So we need a subject to give the correct order to the sentence. So let's look at the fourth option, that is C. Besides offering physiological rewards such as toned muscles, karate, if practiced regularly, can turn the body into a dangerous weapon. So karate is working like the subject of the sentence here. That is the reason why option 4 would be the most appropriate answer choice, and you can eliminate the others. All right, so the last question in the same group of questions. The animal activist has raised awareness not only on the plight of abandoned dogs, but also on overworked bulls and temple elephants. Now, there's a problem here in this part of the sentence. Now, let's look at the answer choices, starting from option D, the plight of abandoned dogs, but also on overworked bulls. Now, there's this preposition on which seems to be missing in both the last C and D options. So, these two sentences, these two parts are grammatically incorrect. We can eliminate them. Let's look at option D, not only on the plight of abandoned dogs, but also on that of overworked bulls. Well, this one looks fine. So, let's put this on hold and let's look at the first choice, on the plight of not only abandoned dogs, but also on those of. Now, see, those of relates to the plight. Now, if plight is singular, you cannot have those of overworked bulls. So, this means that option A is also grammatically incorrect. Now, we are only left with option B, which is the most appropriate answer choice. Let's put it there in the original sentence and see how it works. The animal activist has raised awareness not only on the plight of abandoned dogs, but also on that of overworked bulls and temple elephants. All right, moving on to the next question. Each of the paragraphs given below has a sentence missing, which is indicated by a blank. From the choices given below each paragraph, choose the sentence which seems most logically appropriate to complete the paragraph. So the question is really clear. There's a paragraph, a sentence is missing, the choices are there. You need to find a sentence that would best fit in the given blank. Now, for this, you need to read the surrounding text really carefully for you to understand which option would most logically and grammatically fit in the blank that has been given to you. All right, let's look at the question. When people move from one city or country to another, the spread of diseases may result. People often bring in germs which may not have been present there before. These new germs can spread quickly and cause previously unknown diseases. Now there's a blank. They become ill more easily and could even die. In turn, newcomers may catch diseases which were not present where they came from. Now let's look at the answer choices. If they had gone back, they would have started an epidemic. Now see, this part is given in past tense, whereas the first half of your paragraph is clearly in simple present form. People move from a city, people bring in germs that would may not have been present there, and they can spread quickly. Now, suddenly, a part of a sentence cannot be used in simple past form or past perfect form when the entire first half of the sentence is already in simple present tense. So this part would not fit grammatically in this blank. Pollution can also lead to the spread of diseases. Well, we are talking about germs and people carrying the germs. So they have not mentioned pollution anywhere. It's a new concept entirely. So this would not fit in the given blank. If a germ is completely new to a region, people have no natural protection against it. Well, this looks like a very good answer choice. Let's put this on hold. Such changes may result in enhancing conditions for people who live in big cities. Well, this is something that is really out of context. This would not fit in the sentence because of that. Now, let's go back to answer choice C. If a germ is completely new to a region. Now, see, this part of the sentence will go well. It will blend in well with the first half of the paragraph, which talks about spreading of the germs. And this part, people have no natural protection against it. This will blend in well, or this will suit well to the meaning of the second half of the paragraph, which talks about people getting affected because of the germs. So that means option C is your most appropriate answer choice. Moving on to the next part. Summer, a young man from a village in Tripura, is a social media star who hopes to make it big as a model and actor. While his minute-long videos are very popular, his series titled Who Wore It Better showcases his creative side. He uses a variety of filters and visual effects to improve his videos. Now let's look at the answer choices and of course the blank is given at the end of the sentence of the paragraph. It is clear that short videos are very popular among the youth than in television. Well, see, this is what you need to understand in questions like this. Any new information may be an incorrect information because your answer would depend on the information that has already been given to you. So, new information could be wrong information. This is one of the ways young men make money on the internet. Now, see, the passage did not talk about television or making money. Again, we can eliminate this. It is possible to be popular on internet, although making money is difficult. Again, they're talking about making money, which was not the theme or even an option which was given in the paragraph. Now, this shows how it is possible today for people with limited resources to express their creativity. See, don't you think this goes good? Well, this will blend in well with the information that's already there because they were showcasing his creative side and what he was doing. He was using a variety of filters and visual effects to improve his videos, and the last line supports the previous lines. So that is how you get your answer, and option D is the most appropriate answer choice for this question. All right, now we move to the next question. The sentences given below have words that are missing. Choose the best option from those given below to complete the sentence. Now, here you need to choose the most appropriate word to complete the given paragraph. Now, here you need to have good command over the vocabulary to get your answers right. But just in case you're not sure of the answer, you could try and eliminate the wrong answer choices to get the right answer. Let's look at this. Coral reefs are one of the most biologically complex and diverse marine ecosystems on Earth. This ecosystem is one of the paradoxes of the biosphere. How do clear and thus nutrient poor waters support such and productive communities? Now let's look at the answer choices. Frail, unrecognized, wealthy. Now, how can coral reefs or these communities be wealthy? So, option D can be eliminated. This option will not fit in the third blank. Deep, strange, exuberant. Now, let's see if deep would fit in the first blank. Coral reefs are one of the most deep, or should it have been coral reefs are one of the deepest? See, we can eliminate option C. Fragile, fascinating, prolific. Let's see if these will fit. Coral reefs are one of the most fragile, biologically complex, and diverse marine ecosystems on Earth. This ecosystem is one of the fascinating paradoxes of the biosphere. How do clear and thus nutrient poor waters support such prolific, which means plentiful, and productive communities? Sounds about right, right? Let's put this on hold. Let's see if option A will fit or it can be eliminated. Coral reefs are one of the most common, looks good, biologically complex and diverse marine ecosystems on Earth. This ecosystem is one of the sensitive or most sensitive. Paradoxes, well, you can eliminate option A as well. So we have the right answer choice, which is option B. It is a dash to live in a land without dash. Even with all the technological advancements and economic growth, there are still millions who live in war zones where life every day is filled with. Now, the passage talks about living in the war zones. So, what kind of vocabulary do you think will fit best in the blanks? Let's see. It's a punishment, hate, agony. Let's see. It's a punishment to live in a land without hate. How does this make sense? No, it doesn't. We can eliminate this because it will not be a punishment to live in a land without hate. Now, it's lovely to live in the land without pride? Doesn't make sense, right? We can eliminate this. It's a privilege to live in a land without bigotry. Now, it's good to live in a land where there is no bigotry, that is, no prejudices. Even with all the technological advancements and economic growth, there are still millions who live in war zones where life every day is filled with terror. So, this looks like a very good answer choice. Let's put this on hold. It's a coincidence to live in a land without prejudice where everyday life is filled with adventures. Well, how will a life in a war zone be filled with adventures? Well, not for all. So we can eliminate option A. So option B is the most appropriate answer choice. Let's look at the next part. The ability to dash and dash in a cohesive team is particularly critical in high-tech firms where the dash landscape can shift dramatically in the face of disruptive technology. Now, first of all, let's understand the context. Now, here landscape doesn't mean literal landscape. It means the background of the firms, right? So option C, where the last blank talks about tectonic, or option D, where the last option talks about green, won't fit contextually here because tectonic and green will refer to the literal landscape, not this one. So we can eliminate option C and option D. Let's look at option A and option B now. The ability to mentor and keep a cohesive team in particular is particularly critical in high-tech firms where the sustainable landscape can shift. Well, if it is sustainable, why would it shift, right? So this also helps you eliminate option A. Now we're only left with option B, the ability to shape and guide a cohesive team where the competitive landscape can shift dramatically. Doesn't it look good? Well, that's the right option. Moving on to the next one. All right. So the next part of the same question. Cool-headed and rational Joe Ancha is a talented and driven anchorman who commands as well as demands respect. After Dash to get elected as a news director, he aims to dash to his job to as the top anchorman to increase his dash of being elected the next year. Now let's look at the answer choices. After happening to get elected, well, this looks grammatically incorrect, right? Let's eliminate this. After failing to get elected as a news director, he aims to return to his job as the top news anchor to increase his chances of being elected the next year. Well, this looks good. Let's put it on hold. After hoping to get elected as the news director, he aims to upgrade to his job. Well, why would he upgrade to his job? He would just upgrade his job. So this one again is a grammatically misfit part. Hoping after going to get elected as a news director, he aims to give up his job to increase his luck of being elected? Well, this is out of context completely, right? So that leaves you with answer option B, which is the most appropriate answer choice. All right. So the last question of the same question type. A collective investment fund, also known as collective investment trust, is a group of dash accounts held by a bank or trust company The financial institution dash assets from individuals and organizations to dash a large single larger diversified portfolio. Well, apparently, we need an adjective in the first blank and verbs in the last two blanks. Let's look at the answer choices. Diverse, discounts, conceive. Well, we cannot conceive a single diversified portfolio. We can conceive ideas. Children can be conceived. So this helps us eliminate the first option. Different, collected, simulate. Well, collected, being in simple past tense, would be a misfit in the second blank. Similarly, financial, covered, synthesize. Again, covered being in past tense would again be a misfit in the given context. Let's look at the last one. Pooled groups developed. Let's see if these fit. A collective investment fund, also known as collective investment trust, is a group of pooled accounts held by a bank or trust company. The financial institution groups assets from individuals and organizations to develop a single larger diversified portfolio. Sounds about right. Yes. Moving on to the next question type. One of the statements below contains a word used incorrectly. Choose the option which has the incorrect or appropriate usage of the word. So that means out of the given four sentences, one of the sentences has a word which has been incorrectly used. Now let's look at the answer choices. The president of the City Chamber of Commerce is an urbane, kindly, and generous man. The writer's next book deals with the life of an urbane intellectual as seen through the eyes of a lawyer. My uncle, who lives in New York, turned out to be the exact opposite of the urbane, wealthy gentleman that I was expecting to meet. Over 70% of people living in urbane areas said that they wanted better roads and more schools. Now, the word urbane has been repeated in all the four sentences. Now, the word urbane refers to people. It's the quality of people being refined and polished. So, in this context, option sentence in option A, B, and C are grammatically error free. Let's look at option D, where the word urbane refers to areas. Now, the word that we needed here was urban, which means the characteristic of a town or a city. So that makes option D your right answer choice. The next one. The young scientist built a small, low cost machine to recycle wastewater. It was a simple but ingenious solution to the problem of water shortage in the city. My friend is an ingenious cook. She can make very delicious dishes from the most ordinary ingredients. The young man has lost all his savings because he was rather ingenious to believe the agent's promises of a well paid job and a comfortable life in a foreign city. Teachers say that some children are very ingenious when it comes to finding excuses for not completing their work. Now, the word ingenious means someone who's clever, inventive, or original. So, in this context, sentence D, sentence B, and sentence A are error free. Now, let's look at how the word has been used in this sentence. The young man lost his savings because he was rather ingenious. Well, had he been original or creative or inventive, he wouldn't have been fooled by the agent. So the word that we needed here was ingenuous, which means naive, somebody who believes easily. So this is the reason why option C is your most appropriate answer choice. Let's look at the next sentence now. After several rounds of meetings, the city council passed an ordinance to limit the number of cafes near the seaside. As per the royal ordinance, all men under 18 had to join the army and fight the war. Military aircrafts can be used to carry a wide variety of ordnance. The people protested a city ordinance that all parks must be closed by 9 p.m. Now, the word ordinance means an authoritative order. So, sentence A, B, and D are grammatically error free. Now, let's look at sentence number C. Military aircrafts can be used to carry a wide variety of ordnance without an I, which means artillery, mounted guns, etc. So sentence C is your most appropriate answer choice. Moving on to the next one. It's a pleasure when we are all together for a meal at home. Hassan is not interested in watching movies, which is not altogether a bad thing. Well, we see that the word altogether is getting repeated. The 300 guests sat all together in a large dining hall of the hotel. The facilitator asked the participants to stand up all together. Now, the word all together means everyone, and the word that means sentence number A, C, and D are grammatically error free. Now, let's look at sentence number B. Hassan is not interested in watching movies, which is not we needed and all with a single L. Altogether a bad thing, which means completely a bad thing. So that makes option B the most appropriate answer choice. All right, so the last part of the same question type. The sickness of a family member can affect the lives of everyone at home. Kerala was affected by severe flood all through the year. Taking this medicine for a prolonged period can have severe after effects. The popular star was not a natural actor. His style was rather affected. Now, let's understand the meaning of the word affect to get the answer. Well, the word affect is a verb which means impact. So, sentence A, B, and D will be error free because the word affect has been used correctly in these three sentences. Now, let's look at sentence number C. Taking this medicine for a prolonged period can have severe after effects. Well, the word that we need here is effect, which is a noun, which means the result of a change. So that means option C is your most appropriate answer choice. All right, so the last section of the test. The sentences given below, when properly sequenced, form a coherent paragraph. Each sentence is labeled with a number. Decide on the most logical order and enter the sequence of numbers in the space provided. Now, this is a para jumble wherein the sentences of a given paragraph are all mixed up and you need to put them in the right order. So a very good strategy to deal with questions like these is to look for a sentence that could work as an introductory statement or a sentence that could work as a conclusive statement. You could also look for mandatory pairs. Now these are certain things that would help you get your answers right. Now let's look at this one. However, they stand out. Now, a sentence beginning with however cannot be an introductory sentence. So this would not be your sentence opener. An indie film refers to independent films made outside a major studio system. Well, this looks like a good option for an introductory sentence. Let's put this on hold. Their release, it's a pronoun, cannot be the first sentence. Most of such films, again, cannot be your opening sentence, right? So, sentence B could be your introductory sentence talking about an indie film referring to independent films made outside a major film studio, right? Now, most of such films are low budget films produced, distributed by small companies. This is taking the idea forward. This could be your sentence number two. Their release is also limited. Now, see, first you talk about a concept of producing or distributing the films, and then they're saying this the release is also limited to few screens, although there have been films with a wide release. So, this is taking the idea further. This becomes your sentence number three. However, they stand out because they help the filmmaker realize his personal artistic vision. Looks like a conclusive line. So, that is the right order of this para. Moving on. Mental illness continues to struggle for recognition as a significant contributor to poor health in spite of the existence of the Mental Health Care Act 2017. Looks like a good sentence to that would work as an introductory sentence. Let's put this on hold. The data. Well, if you're talking about the data here, that means the data has already been referred to in one of the previous sentences, cannot be an introductory sentence. There's more, there's always more to human health than meets the eye. Well, looks like a perfect sentence to be an introductory sentence. This is particularly important in the Indian cultural and political context. where the outward appearance of physical well being is often considered the only visible marker of the overall health. Looks like sentence D and sentence C are paired sentences, where sentence D is only elaborating the thought given in sentence A. So if this is sentence C is my sentence number one, sentence D will be sentence number two. Now, this therefore will be sentence number three, and this will have to be sentence number four because the data would talk about the data that has been referred to in the Existence of Mental Healthcare Act 2017. So that's the order of this sentence. Moving on to the last part of the last question. It was felt that major polluters had a moral obligation to deliver on the agreements reached some years ago during a similar convention. Well, this cannot be an introductory sentence. The papers presented indicated that the impact of current warming are much more severe than previously understood. Again, cannot be a sentence opener. It appears that the planet's ability to adapt to and cope with how it is being treated is frying, that means declining. Looks like a good opening sentence. For example, the acceleration of sea level rise, the ocean warming, and increasing risk of reaching limits to adaptation. Well, this is exemplifying something. This is what emerged at a recent conference attended by larger scientific community on climate science. Well, this looks like a continuation of the first sentence. It appears that the planet's ability to adapt to and cope with how it is being treated is frying. This is what emerged. This thing is what emerged at a recent conference attended by the largest scientific community on scientific climate science. The papers presented indicated that the impact of current warming are much more severe than previously understood. So, a conference was attended and the papers were presented. So, this looks like sentence number three. For example, the acceleration of sea level rise and ocean warming and increasing risk of reaching limits to adaptation. Well, this is only continuing the thought we've just discussed in sentence number three. So, this makes it the next sentence in the order. Then the last statement would be it was felt that the major polluters had a moral obligation to deliver on the agreements reached some years ago during a similar convention on climate change. So, this is how you find your answers in parajumbles. And with this, we come to the end of the session. Hope you found the session useful. Thank you for your time.